Hello, everyone. As has been said many times before, generations like my grandmother and my mother's generation understood that when opportunities are limited for people, communities suffer. But when knowledge is shared and doors are open, entire generations can rise. That's what we're going to talk about today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Pamela D. Marshall. I'm the executive director of At the Wellness Network and at the Wellness Radio TV. My guest today is Miss Patricia Lee. I'm trying to French your name up, sister. She is the chair of the Economic Empowerment Committee for the Alachua County NAACP branch, and she, through her work, there is going to be a workshop this Saturday. It is the first time that they've ever done this, and I just wanted Sister Pat to come on and talk to us about that workshop and why it is important. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please help me welcome to At the Wellness Network our Sister Patricia Lee. Sister Patricia Lee, thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate it so much.
I am happy to be here, Pamela, and thank you for the opportunity to share about this important information.
Well, so this is your first year doing this empowerment workshop. What made you decide to do this now?
Well, the most important thing is the need for small business knowledge expansion, I will say, as well as important economic development issues in the community, especially the east side of Gainesville, which seems to have been in a stagnant state for many decades, as opposed to growing and having opportunities available for businesses to start and grow and offer their goods and services on the east side of Gainesville.
So this is the Go-Getters workshop for go-getters, presented by the Alachua County NAACP branch Economic Development Committee. It is going to be Saturday, the 27th of June, 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is absolutely free to the public. It's going to be at the Gainesville Technology and Entrepreneurship Building at 2153 Southeast Hawthorne Road in Gainesville. It is a one-day workshop. It is an opportunity for you to, even if you're just thinking about building a business, or if you are a part of conversations about business, sometimes you don't even have to be doing it yourself, but just to be able to share knowledge and information with other people is so important. Am I on track, Sister Pat?
You are definitely on track with this. With regards to this workshop, we want to make sure that we provide 2 or 3 different things: knowledge for the small business person, a surprise project that will help to change the face of the community and offer turnover of funds in the community, as well as a new way that most people haven't heard of for small businesses and even nonprofits to raise funds for their important projects.
Wait, you said we're going to talk about a new way to help raise funds, help raise capital, help raise money. All of it, call it by any name, is money that you need. New
And
ways to do that.
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't want to give too much away. I want people to come out and hear about it. But it's called decentralized finance based on blockchain technology, and it's an excellent way to raise major dollars for capital that you
Wow.
need for your projects and your business.
So this is for anyone who has a business. It does not have to be, does that include nonprofits? Does it include churches? Does it include somebody who wants to build group homes?
It includes anyone who has a business in it, and that includes nonprofits, because often people don't consider a nonprofit a business, but it truly is. And that nonprofit has to be in a position to have the capital and cash flow to make its vision come true. And if they don't raise that capital and cash flow and have some excess to grow that vision, then they will cease to be a nonprofit entity quicker than they would realize.
We're talking to Patricia Lee, who chairs the Economic Development Committee for the Alachua County NAACP branch and is spearheading an effort that's happening Saturday, the 27th of June. We're talking about economic empowerment. And again, we are talking about how do we create generational wealth in the African American community and in Alachua County, specifically talking about East Gainesville. What has been the problem? What's the challenge? I moved here 13 years ago and they were talking about economic development in East Gainesville. Dollars have been spent, they just haven't been spent in East Gainesville. What do you see as the biggest obstacle for that?
The business obstacle is that some of our leaders are apathetic, and some talk about East Gainesville, especially those who are running for an elected office. They talk about East Gainesville, the east side of Gainesville, because there is no East Gainesville. It's just one city. But on the east side, it is often talked about when the election time is around. But once the election is over, other things tend to take priority. Also, I don't think enough focus has been placed on generating multiple streams of income within that community, and enough focus has not been placed on putting together a strategic plan and actually implementing that plan so that when people on the east side of Gainesville get paid today, they don't have to spend that money on the west side to get all the goods and services they need. We need the opportunity to be able to spend our money in the east side communities and to have that be close to us. And there are some ideal locations for this to happen. We need to have visibility of our businesses, and so that people will know who's doing what and where. And if we put them together in a campus like mini downtown or mini mall or situation, then that can happen, and that can happen very rapidly. And anytime you have goods and services available immediately in your community, the wealth increases within each household. People will want to come to that community to spend their dollars. You have somewhere to spend yours and to do the things that you want. It improves the quality of life for everybody. As John F. Kennedy said, a rising tide floats all boats, but we have to get behind making that change happen for ourselves. We can't be passive and just sit back and wait for somebody else to do it for us, because as we've seen in the last 30 or 40 years, if we're not doing it, it's not going to happen. All we're going to get is talk and promises that are not kept.
So I know with this being election season, that there will be those who are running for office who will attend. But as we're talking about economic development, and you talk about those in leadership roles who help to make decisions about what goes to certain areas, what role can you play with this workshop in helping to educate them? Because we assume, which is not good, that people who are running for office know all there is to know, but they don't. They're just human beings, and they know what they know in that moment. So what role can this workshop help even in educating those who are running for office to represent the people that you're talking about this workshop can aid?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Pamela. And you yourself is going to be a part of this workshop on Saturday, and you are presenting a very important, not often talked about aspect, and that is public policy is your business. And you brought out another important point, that sometimes even those who are elected don't know all that they need to know about policy, economic development, and how to really make things happen. So what tends to happen, the cycle tends to repeat itself. doing the same thing over and over, as opposed to changing the strategy, trying something new. And when I say something new, it will be new for this area, but the concept that we'll be presenting has happened all across this country. And I know this because I've been an active participant in the 8 cities and 16 states that I've lived in. And I've observed this, and I've lived long enough to watch us go from the concept of urban renewal, which is what this is, what economic development basically is all about, especially in stagnant communities, to the new term that we use now, economic development and economic empowerment. But what it all means, giving everybody a fair opportunity to have the goods and services they need in their own community and in their own vicinity to be able to improve their quality of life. And when that is done, everybody wins.
Yeah, I think it was the late Reverend Jesse Jackson said, when the rules are fair, we win.
Absolutely. That is
And
so true.
And that's where public policy comes in, because public policy can make the rules that do not level the playing field, but quite frankly, put obstacles in the way of economic development for a certain group of people. It is a very powerful tool. I think about public policy same way as parents who rule their houses. That is essentially public policy in my house. Whatever my rules are, that's what we're going to go by. And so when we look at governments, public policy is them saying, these are the rules and this is what we're going to go by, which is why elections are so important. In this work that you're doing and in the workshop, Sister Lee, what is it that those attending will walk away with?
They will walk away, hopefully. And before I get to that, directly to that question, part of this workshop will culminate with a working lunch, where we want people to sit down and actively commit to being a part of a plan to make change happen in their community. They will walk away with some improved knowledge of how to get capital, major capital, not just $10,000 or $15,000, but $10 million, $6 million, that kind of thing. And sometimes when I talk about the project I'm going to introduce and how much it will cost to make this project come together, people look at me like I have two heads. But in the stream of things, $10 million is not that much money. And if you know where that money is and are willing to put in the work that it takes to access those funds, then all kinds of things can happen. Also, I want people to walk away understanding that while parks and recreation and one stop solutions, and when I say in this term, when I say a one-stop solution, a single function solution is the more term. Those are all good, but it's not going to make the changes in our community. It's not going to change our lives. What we need is a comprehensive activity going on, not unlike what they've done on the west side. The Butler Plaza area over there, the Celebration Point. We can have our own mini Celebration Point, and there's an opportunity for us to do this. But we have got to make sure that we understand that we need a facility, a place, and a spot in our community where we can have multiple activities going on at once that solve multiple problems using the same location. It will also be good for the environment, because something that we have in mind, a place we have in mind, is within walking distance of where people live, what I would call the heart of the east side of Gainesville, and within 2 to 3 miles of everything else. Also, I want people to walk away understanding that just because one entity is doing something does not take away from what your entity is doing. As a matter of fact, they complement each other, because the more important and exciting things you're going on that have going on in the area, the more people are going to want to come and experience those things. But when it's just one little thing here and one little thing there, and everybody afraid, well, if you get something, it's going to take away from me. It doesn't work that way. I like to quote some of the television evangelists, and they said, "Don't consider how big my problem is. Consider how big my God is." And so many of us profess to be Christians. Then we need to put that faith in God that whatever we need and whatever we want, we can have. He has the resources out there for us. However, we have got to also put together some backbone in it, because faith without work is of no value to anyone, and certainly not to our community.
And so, Sister Pat, we talk about, as I put this up, about voting. We are in this season, the 2026 election season. So let me just encourage you, if you're not registered to vote, please register to vote. If you are registered already, check your registration to make sure your polling place has not changed. If you're going to early vote, then you can do something about it if you early vote. But if you're voting on the day of the election, you will not be able to change anything, and you could miss out on your opportunity to vote. So just be aware of that. But while we talk about is in this Juneteenth month, while we talk about freedom, Sister Pat, we talk about civil rights and Juneteenth, or in the case in Florida, the Declaration of Independence was read in May. But the freedom also deals with economic dimensions. Civil rights is one thing, but economic empowerment is a whole nother animal. Economic empowerment, because if the law says you can live in whatever neighborhood you want to live in, but you don't have the economics to support that, then what difference does it make when there's a law? So what you're doing with this economic empowerment workshop, this one-day event that's going to be Saturday, June 27th from 9:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock. And please, by the way, RSVP. Sister Pat, what is the information that people need? I've posted this flyer on my website. So we need people to let you know if they're coming so that you can know how much food to order for this event, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And they can text my number, 352-459-8331, or they can send an email RSVP to tfanserves@gmail.com. That's tfanserves@gmail.com. And looking forward to seeing you. But I want to piggyback on what Sister Pamela just said about voting. Not only do you want to make sure that your voting rights are in order, we want to also help people to get to the polls, because it's okay to be registered, but if you don't go and vote, then you're voting for the person who may be against what you are about. So help and encourage everyone to go to the polls, because we have some of the lowest voter turnout in history, and we want to improve that. With the freedoms that we have come responsibilities, civic responsibilities. So please make sure that you vote and get all of your friends and neighbors to vote. And a little known fact is that young people, we want to make sure that they get registered. If they're 17 years old and they're going to turn 18 by the time of the November election, and it's too late for the primary, but if they're going to be 18 by the time of the next election, they can go ahead and register. I'll never forget, my niece was 18 the year that President Obama was elected. And I told her, she wasn't 18 at the time, but she and her friends were like 17, but I knew when her birthday was coming. I said, I want you and your friends to go and register to vote so you can vote in this election. All elections are important, but this is the most important historical one for our community that ever came about. So when President Obama was elected, I called them and I said, how did you feel about electing your first president? And they were so excited. They said, oh, Auntie, I'm so glad you told us to register, because otherwise we would not have been registered and we wouldn't have been able to vote.
Yeah, that is a very important piece that you talked about. And I believe if you check with the supervisor of election, when you turn 16, you can pre-register so that when you turn 18, that prevents you from forgetting that you need to register to vote. I think that is such an important thing for us as relatives, as aunties, to make sure that all our nieces and nephews and all the children that are part of our influence get registered to vote, because economic development is directly tied to that vote, is it not?
It definitely is directly tied to that vote. Everything that happens is made on this decisions made by the people that we elect, and we don't want to just elect them and leave them on their own. We want to elect them and let them hear our voices. If we have to be considered a nag, whatever the case may be, let them hear our voices to make sure that we get what we deserve. And people talk about the east side and the west side. I say the only difference between the east side and the west side is the west side has all the development. East side of Gainesville is beautiful. It has all kinds of resources, and it has enough people to support and sustain the small businesses that we have. A lot of times, people will come in and say, "Oh, they're not bringing businesses to the east side because there's not enough rooftops." There's not enough rooftop for the big box stores and the large national stores, but there is more than enough rooftops to support our own businesses. And let me tell you, right now, Eastside has more rooftops than it did when I was a child, and there were stores all up and down 8th Avenue and 5th Avenue
Mm,
and all over the city. We had our own uh, Black Wall Street going on, and then that disappeared. We can make that happen again, and it's more of us now, and we're more of us who are affluent now that can make that happen. So there really is no excuse, and it's disappointing that we have not done that yet, that we have not reclaimed our own.
well, Sister Pat Lee is has spent many years in corporate America and is a wealth of information. And thank you for your willingness to not take what you've learned, not take the lessons of hard knocks, not take the lessons of watching despair when we could be encouraging each other. Thank you for sharing that knowledge and information with us. And one way that you're doing that is this weekend with this workshop for go-getters presented by the Alachua County branch of the NAACP Economic Development Committee, chaired by Sister Patricia Lee. It is this coming Saturday, June 27th, from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are inviting you to come, but we also want you to bring people with you, but make sure that you RSVP for this very, very important workshop. Do you think this is going to be something that you will be doing more than once?
Oh, most definitely. We will definitely do it more than once, and we will probably do it more than once a year, because we need to keep this message actively before our community so that our community will actively get involved in changing their lives for themselves.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us here on At the Wellness Radio TV to share this information and making sure that there is uh, a definite plan for sharing and helping people to understand what they need to do to strengthen the economic foundation of where you live, of the people right around you, and encouraging our faith based communities to be a part of strengthening the economic foundation in our communities. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you again here on At the Wellness Radio TV. Uh, do what you can do. Don't feel like, well, there's not much that I can do because I don't know. Well, what you don't know, if you open up your mind for these possibilities, guess what? They will show up. If you're ready to learn, your teacher will show up. Sister Patricia Lee, thank you for being our teacher in this, and we will look forward to seeing you again and looking forward to those who will be attending on Saturday, June 27th. I'm
Thank,
Pamela Marsh.
thank you so much, Pamela. You are a wonderful asset in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us here for this conversation. Please like and share this information with everybody in your sphere of influence, whether you're in Gainesville, Alachua County, or any of the surrounding areas. This is a free workshop, and the money and the prosperity does not stop at the Alachua County line. Sister Pat is willing to share it. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Pamela D. Marshall at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. Remember, there is healing at the well. Take care. We will see you next time.
Wellness Radio, there's healing at the well. At the Wellness Radio TV, there's healing at the well. Live a whole, powerful, strong, loving and harmonious life at the Wellness Radio TV.